This shit isn't easy. Today I want to talk about STDs. We talk about mental health and all things related. Again, like in my very first trailer where I fucked it all up, but so this is my very first episode that I would like to do around sexually transmitted diseases, STIs, and why the fuck we're still like so ew about it. Why are we still so fucking high school about, you know, going to get tested, going to get checked, making sure you and your partner or partners know each other's statuses. Why is it okay that we are continually sexualizing the entire world? And every conversation that I see, I mean, obviously that's my job and that's the industry that I'm in. I never hear any of these people talk about like how important understanding your status when it comes to your genitals is. How important it is for you to go get tested for HIV. How important it is for you to get your ass into the doctor and make sure that you are okay when you change partners or when you and your partner take a break. There's a lot of conversations that surround, you know, unwanted pregnancies by men and women. There's a lot of conversations that are around changing your birth gender, and excuse me if I'm not saying it the way that it's supposed to be said at this point, because I'm actually just a little frustrated. I didn't write any of this shit down, so we're gonna go to slides on what the STD rates are and how many people get tested and how that looks by gender and by race. I do think that there is still a very large stigma around status sharing and discussing, you know, the cooties. And I think that if we are going to be openly accepting of sexuality and sex, then the conversation about healthy sex should be in the forefront, in my opinion. There are still so many people out there that are not aware of their status, that are doing things like faking medical records so that they can have sex. And I do think that this is due to shame. I do not think that people are deliberately doing certain things to harm or hurt people. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people out there who are like, I got this thing and like fuck the world and I'm gonna have sex with as many people as I can and infect the entire nation. There are instances of that. But I think for the general population and a fair amount of people, I think that the reason why we are still spreading STDs, I think that the reason why people are still coming up with, you know, with things when they go to the doctor, I don't even want to say like it's specifically like a certain type of, you know, thing or a certain disease, because that's not true. I think that it's built around shame, and I think that the only way that we can lessen the shame around STDs is if we talk about it. So that's what I would like to do today. I'd like to share some facts and information and try not to share too many of my opinions, because this is my first episode of this YouTube channel and I really would like to eventually become more educated, and I think the only way that I will be able to do that is by opening up dialogue. And so I would really like for you guys to share your thoughts and your feelings with me, and that way I can add them into future episodes. I plan on doing some segments and possibly having some guests on, but again, like in my very first trailer, guys, welcome to my channel, Mental Masturbation. Today is the first episode, so the first official episode, so forgive me if I don't really know what I'm doing, because we're just winging it. And this is just the beginning, baby, so let's just dive right on in. like to talk about something that I saw on my Twitter feed 2 days ago. There was a discussion on testing and people faking tests, or not getting tested, whatever. Testing is obviously a big, huge part of our industry because we are actively having sex with multiple different people, and the sex work industry doesn't necessarily have to be solely based on penetrative sex acts, right? But for those of us who are engaging in physical penetration, swapping of fluids and all that kind of stuff, we must get tested quite frequently. And I felt some kind of way about and I've always felt some sort of way ever since I started doing partnered scenes with like how to be safe and what tests do I need to get. We have Clear, we have Pass, we have talent testing services, and I'm not sure if there's any other ones, I'm sure, but those are the three that I'm familiar with. Usually they have some sort of QR code that you can scan with your phone to get like accurate results. So this conversation around faking tests, well, I think that is wild that someone would fake a test in order to create content with someone, and then probably will get doxxed if you have some sort of STD and you transmit it to someone. That is super inconsiderate, very unsafe, and honestly criminal. I do believe that faking a medical document is criminal, at least in some states, if not all of them. So don't do that. However, I want to talk about the fact that I think a lot of people don't know how to accurately check testing results. So for those people, and although I've been in the industry for about 12 years on and off, I've only started doing partner scenes last year. So I do not claim to be an expert or someone who knows a lot. I'm still learning, but I was fortunate enough to be brought into the industry with people who are super knowledgeable and respectful, and actually would like to educate and like create beautiful art. So I feel like it is my duty to at least inform people who are newer to the industry or people who just don't know. So here we go. So when you are getting ready to shoot a scene, you obviously want to get tested, and preferably I like 7-day tests. I think most people do 14, or average people, not average people, but the average is like 14, but then the test will last up to 30. I've never worked with anyone who has not needed a test to be at least 7 or 14 days from the date of test. Now, I would use, talent testing, Pass, or Clear, or any of the other industry standard testing facilities. Granted that sometimes these facilities drop the ball, or something might happen in their system. It's a system, so systems do break down. So you can do all these things correctly and then still end up having an issue, which is to no fault to you or the person who got tested. Even the company, sometimes I wouldn't completely blame them because some shit just happens, But for your safety, I would use one of those industry standard testing facilities. Number one, they upload the information in their system, and they give you a QR, or they give the person a QR code where you can scan the QR code, make sure that it is accurate, up to date, valid, all those things, and it should have their information that should match their ID. A lot of us, go by stage names. If you're meeting someone who is like something, right? You don't even know that person's real name, so that's why we get documents, we get IDs. You should be filling out like model releases, which is another part of pre-production that you should be doing. So you should know this person's name, government name. You should know this person's, ID number, and so you should be checking that information with the QR code and then making sure that the dates are right. I think it's pretty hard to fake like a QR code scan, but again, people are ridiculously smart and sneaky, so that could happen. I'm not saying that it can't, but you should not be accepting a test from MedExpress, CVS, LabCorp. Like, you shouldn't be accepting tests from these places because they could be easily altered, and that's how tests are being faked. So again, before you start shooting with someone, even before you get to the set or the scene or whatever, wherever you're going to shoot at, you should be having some sort of pre-production meeting, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a text exchange where you talk about where you're getting tests, what day you're getting tested, your boundaries. All those things should be discussed before you get on set, and then they should be discussed again when you get there. And then you should be checking this QR code with your own phone for your own records, for your own eyes to see. I think that we all, as an industry, should be taking responsibility for our own, due diligence. It sucks that people fake tests, and it sucks that people don't feel comfortable with sharing their status, which is a not just an industry issue. It's an issue like with civilians, vanilla, whatever you want to call people outside the industry and inside of the industry. But I also think that we as performers need to be upholding a standard, so that way there's less people who are able to go into the industry faking tests. If you are requiring someone to make sure that they go to talent testing or pass or clear or wherever, whatever industry standard facility we're testing at, making sure that when they show up, they have the correct documents, they have the correct IDs, you have the model release. If we, as performers who don't fake tests, who take this industry seriously, are upholding the standards and not letting people slide because, there's money on the line, because you wasted time, not wasted time, but because you did the right thing and you took your time out of your day to go get tested, and you drove or you flew into a situation, and now you're here, and so-and-so over here, Big Dick Nasty or whoever the hell you're shooting with, and I hate to be, men, women, everybody does it. Men, women, non-binary, whatever, humans are going to be dumb and do dumb stuff. But if you are at a set and so-and-so that you're shooting with, your collaborative partner, your scene partner, doesn't have the necessary documents, hasn't actually gotten tested at the required facility or whatever you discussed beforehand, and they show up unprepared, then please have the respect for yourself and the industry to decline to shoot with that person. It sucks. I know people spend a lot of money to travel, to get hotel rooms, to get Airbnbs, to get tests, to get outfits, to have your hair, your makeup done, you're all ready, and then so-and-so shows up with a LabCorp test or a CVS rapid test or some sort of note from their doctor that says they're clean, and now you feel obligated to shoot because you just spent all this money. We can't do that either. We need to uphold the standards. We need to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and this is why we need to make sure that we are talking to people as the time approaches for you to shoot as well. I hope that that's helpful, and I hope that we can all just do a little bit better when it comes to making sure everyone's prepared and ready and their boundaries aren't being crossed and everyone feels comfortable.